Hi guys, welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Today we are going to be doing a Q&A. You guys have been sending in your questions on my personal Twitter at Cultural17. If you haven't followed me already, make sure you do. And sometimes I just tweet out Q&A suggestions, video ideas. So if you haven't followed me already, make sure you do. If you're a little bit annoyed that I haven't done it on Instagram and got your guys' opinions on the Instagrammers of the world, I apologise about that. But the next international break, which I believe is in October, we'll do the questions from Instagram, so I apologise about that. But thank you very much for sending in your questions. We've got a variety from general to Watford questions to tactics to even personal questions, so it should be a good laugh, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. We'll kick off the Q&A with a question from Dan Brand YT, who says, with a non-biased opinion, where do you think we'll finish this season? Now, we could get a little bit ahead of ourselves here. We're doing well. 12 points out of 12, 4 wins out of 4, 5 wins out of 5 in all competitions. It's looking very, very good, but we did say the same about this last season. I do think the difference with this season, though, is that the manager in charge, and I say this pretty much every season, but the coach in charge just feels a little bit different. I think Javi Gracia has tapped in to the man managing of this Watford players. I felt with Silva, he was a fantastic coach, and I think he'll do well at Everton, but his man management wasn't amazing. And I think with Javi Gracia, you saw it when he won the Manager of the Month award. The players love him. The players want to play for him. And that is a fantastic thing to have. So I think Javi Gracia will do well with Watford this season. I hope so anyway. With a non-biased opinion, I think we'll finish definitely top half. It's whether we can push into that top 10 and then we can take it from there. I think it's all about getting to that 40-point mark. I know we all say it, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We've seen it in previous seasons where we start amazingly well and then just collapse by Christmas. So it's all about just maintaining standards. Don't get too ahead of ourselves, but enjoy this run and let's see where we can end up. Next question comes in from Henry. He says, where do Deulofeu and Chalobah fit in under Javi's system, if anywhere? Also, is there anything you'd tweak with the starting 11? Well, it seems that way with Deulofeu and Chalobah. They're going to be hard-pressed to get into the team at the minute. I can see Capoue dropping off. I think we've seen it in previous seasons with Capoue. I would love him to maintain it. I really would, but I just can't see him maintaining it over a season and a prolonged season. So I think Chalobah would slot into that role. And if we do keep it 4-4-2, unless things do go a little bit wrong with Deulofeu, it's a tough one because I think with different teams, Deulofeu does suit them, especially the likes of the top 6 sides. But then you look at Will Hughes on the right-hand side. He's a grafter. I didn't really think that with Will Hughes. I read something on the Watford FC website. He finished top of the bleep test. He's one of the fittest players in the Watford squad, so he can do that role down the right-hand side, and that's why Darianmat hasn't been as exposed as we would have thought. It's due to Will Hughes providing that cover, and that's a real big thing for me. I think with Andre Carrillo, you saw it last season, he just didn't want to track back. Will Hughes, on the other hand, he might not be blessed with pace. He has got a little bit of pace, but he's not blessed with it like Carrillo. He's willing to sprint up and down the pitch, track back, and also create chances. So I think Deulofeu is going to have a task on his hands to replace Will Hughes in the Watford team. I think one thing where it could start to get a bit interesting is by Christmas, where we have a lot of fixtures. There will be injuries and suspensions, of course. So I think naturally the players will come back in, but until we start to really see a drop in form, then I wouldn't change it at all. But I think I could see the one change, Chalobah coming in for Capoue. Hannah put in the question, do you think we'll still have Javi next season? By the way things are going, I do think we will. I think he's someone who's really connected with the fan base, he's connected with the club. And it's really rare for a Watford head coach to feel like that as a fan. I don't think really the last one I can remember where they have such affection with the football club and in such a short space of time. I think Javi Gracia, every single press conference and interview, he praises the fans, and that is, it's just so kind of satisfying to see someone who appreciates the support. We didn't see that with Marco Silva, maybe the odd occasion and previous managers, but there's just something with Javi Gracia. He's just a top bloke. I really do think that, and obviously I don't want it to come and bite me in the backside come Christmas where we're going on a 10-game winless run. But I'll say it now and I will eat my words. I think Javi Gracia is a fantastic head coach from what I've seen. I know it's early days, but he seems like a man who's really kind of just rejuvenated the club. But will he stay? I hope so. I really do think so. I think the one way of doing that is offering him a new contract. Contracts are nothing these days, but it will guarantee him another year. We saw it with Decore. So if things are still going well by Christmas, then I would offer him a new contract. I was putting the question, does DIY SOS need to improve the WD18 decor? Nick Knowles, get in touch. I mean, I'm looking at the Watford shrine now. We've got Lloyd Doyley's match-worn shirt against Manchester City in the FA Cup, where we lost 4-2. What a day that was. You've got the Mishmash, you've got the Rocket Men, Tales from the Vicarage, you've got a couple of posters, one from the programme. So, yeah, I think Nick Knowles might have to get involved. There's a few patchy areas, but I don't think it's that bad, surely. I don't think it's that bad. Watford, Oasis. Good question from Pat. He says, best fan interview yet. Now, I love interviewing all fans. I really, really enjoy it to get all the different and variety of views. There are some that are funnier than others when you look back on it. It's weird, actually, because when you're interviewing, you don't really think about it being funny when you watch it back, but especially when we've lost. But then when you watch it back, especially when you're not as angry about the result, it is quite funny. There's a few that stick to mind. I remember the away game at Liverpool last year, the 5-0. Aiden with Michael. That was a funny one where he started touching up the mic. You've obviously got Shane's iconic rant against Bournemouth when we conceded in the last minute. That was a good one where he started jockeying, and he also said about Bobby Madley's brother. Yeah, that was a funny one. But there's a variety of ones. I can't really put my finger on one. Sorry to sit on the fence, but I do like interviewing all the fans. But those ones do stick out for me in terms of them being funny. Hamza came with a question: what is your opinion on VAR, and do you think it should be used in the Premier League? Now, it's one of those where if it's in favour of you, you don't want to be using the VAR, sorry. But when it's a massive penalty decision, a red card, etc., that goes against Watford, then you obviously want it. So I think I do advocate technology in football, especially the VAR. I think until it's proven to be quick and easy and not ruining the emotion in football, then I do want it to be in the Premier League. But at the minute, the amount of time it does take for a decision to be made, it just takes the life out of the game. It takes about a minute for it to happen. Since the incident's been awarded, it should be taking about 20, 30 seconds max. The guy in the box or whatever, the man who's looking at all the screens should be able to make a split decision, have a button, a red and green button. Is it a penalty? Is it not? Or whatever. The communication has to be better. It just wasn't effective in the World Cup, in my opinion. But I would be a fan of it coming into the Premier League if it's been proven to be used in the right way. Who would you back to win in a scrap? Robin or Shane? This is big. It is a tough one. I think Shane is an absolute unit. I think he would turn it into a good scrap. But Robin, he is nimble on his feet. He is a goalkeeper, so he's got a good agility. But I think I would back Shane just for that raw power in the ring. And the celebration would be great. What would be the walk-ons though? I think Shane would come out to Z cards. Robin would come out to... Blimey, I have to ask Robin, but I know Shane would come out to Z cards. Just for that, he would win the scrap. At Aaron_Bennis10 asks, will Cucho Hernandez be our first choice striker if he gets a work permit next season? This is a really good talking point. Cucho Hernandez has been firing the goals for Huesca in the Spanish second division, and they've been promoted this season, and he scored against Barcelona just the other week. He's a player who has been scouted by Barcelona and been touted for a big move, a €30 million move. If he's a player you guys have heard of, he's on loan from Watford. Watford do own the player. He's a wonder kid. He's a player who has been rated highly by a number of clubs. But will he get the work permits and the right documents? I'm not too sure. We've been seeing with Penaranda how difficult it is for a player to sustain and be granted the work permit. So I think it will be difficult. Will he be our first choice if he does get the right documents? I'm not 100% sure. It might be a similar case to Richarlison where he's just that unknown factor and just goes straight into the league and produces. But he is still young, and playing in a striker is a lot tougher than playing on the wing. You get a little bit more space on the wing, and with the strikers and with the calibre of centre backs in the Premier League and how physical it is, I'm not sure whether they'll be able to cope. But I'd love to prove me wrong. But I would like to see him in a Watford shirt, but I just can't see it happening. Great question from Nikhil. What number out of the other 19 Premier League teams would you rank our atmosphere? Very interesting question. I think when it's good, it's great with Watford, especially with the 1881. When we're behind the players, we saw it at home against Tottenham. That got us over the line. I know it sounds cliche, but we were the 12th man in that second half, especially when we got that first goal. And actually, when Deeney knocked Sanchez over, that was the moment where you thought, you know what, Watford can get something out of that game. And that was all from the fans, getting on the players' back, getting on Tottenham's back, and raising the performance. So when it's at its best, I would say Watford is definitely in the top half, top 10. There's a number of other clubs, obviously, that have really, really good atmospheres. I think, realistically, the top 6 clubs, maybe Liverpool, but you could even argue their atmosphere is overrated. The Etihad is quiet, it's silent. United, in fairness, is decent on its day, especially the Tottenham game last week. They were getting behind the players. Arsenal's a library. Chelsea, wouldn't rate the atmosphere there. Top 6 sides, I think we've got better atmosphere on our day. You look at Crystal Palace, obviously, with the Ultras. Very good atmosphere, but hasn't been good recently. So it just depends on the situation, but I do think Watford, especially when it's great, it is a brilliant atmosphere to be a part of. I think Huddersfield's very good as well. So there's a number of clubs on their day that are great, but I think the top 6 sides, even top 7, just have an awful atmosphere. Deal with a great question he asked: what do you make of the depth we have in our squad compared to previous years, and do you think it will help us not become crap after Christmas for once? I think the depth in this Watford squad is brilliant. You look at every position, you have players that you can rotate, players that are the same, if not better at times. You look at Chalobah, someone who should be in the England squad, in my opinion, when he's playing at his best. Obviously, he hasn't been playing a lot of football, but he is England squad level. Will Hughes, England squad level. There are players in there that are international level, and that is a rare thing to see at Watford for a number of years. If you compare it to previous seasons, I think we were short in the Matsara year. I think last year we had decent depth. I think the year we came up, we were probably a little bit light in terms of depth. But obviously in the Championship, we can't really compare it because we had so many players and so many different players. But I think this season is the best depth we had in this Watford squad. I mean, if you go through the squad just quickly, Foster, Gomez, Dalberg, you go to the left back, Holebas, Messina, 2 really good fullbacks. You've got Kabasele, Cathcart, Prodel, Mariappa. Even just chucking Britos in there. You've got a lot of depth there. You've got Yamnat, Kiko, Navarro, centre midfield. You've got Capu, Cleverly, Chalobah, Decore, Hughes on the right, Delafeu, you've got Pereira, you've got Sema, you've got Deeney, you've got Gray, Akaka. There is just so much depth in this Watford squad, and I've probably missed a couple of players just trying to do it off the top of my head. So, in answer to your question, Adil, I think our depth is the best we've had in the Premier League by far, as we just can't get players injured. That is the main thing. We have to keep them fit. And do you think it, and in answer to your second question, or second part to your question, do you think it will help us become not crap by Christmas? I think it will. And as I said, it depends on suspensions and injuries, but the main thing is that rotation and having players that can just jump into the squad and provide competition will only be a good thing. It will. And I hope it is the end of this Christmas curse with Watford, especially last season, where we went on an absolutely awful run. But hopefully with the more depth in the squad, more competition for places, players will turn up, and hopefully we keep the players fit. That was a massive issue last season. And a brilliant question to wrap up this Q&A is from Cameron Drury, who says, what is the end goal for WD18? Now, big question. We are approaching 3,000 subscribers, which is a fantastic achievement by everyone who's involved with the channel. We started the channel literally, it's a year ago. We started it last year's pre-season. And to be sat here with almost 3,000 subscribers is brilliant, and I could not have expected that in my wildest dreams for a 16-year-old with another 16-year-old, and meeting people through WD18 to build a platform that is, I'd say, it's the only one on YouTube for Watford fan opinions, which is unique, and I'm really proud of what we built with WD18. And I just hope it'll carry on to grow. Now, I'm obviously entering my A-levels this year, so it's just finding a balance between work and the channel. And the next year, hopefully, I'm off to uni. So there's a lot of things to weigh up this year, but I'm hoping that we continue to grow. Hopefully, we'll aim for maybe a 5,000 target by the end of this season. We just have to see how it goes. Similar to Watford season, you can't get your hopes up too soon. But no, the end goal is to just grow the channel, make it a hub for all the Watford news, make it a place where you guys know WD18 is providing hopefully the best Watford news on YouTube, the best Watford news on a variety of social media platforms. So that's all we can do. That's all we try to do. And hopefully you guys continue to enjoy the content, because I really enjoy making it. As that's the same, I'm speaking for Robin, Shane, Nikhil, people who are regulars on the channel. They really enjoy making content for you guys because you appreciate it, and that's the main thing. So as long as that continues to happen, you guys still enjoy the content, then we'll try and continue the channel for as long as possible. So that wraps up the Q&A. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Make sure you do leave a like. Let me know down in the comments if you would like me to do another one in the future. And thank you to all those that sent in the question. I think it was 43 in total. So brilliant stuff from you guys. Great support as always. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 3,000 subs, which would be great. And I'll catch you in the next video. And United on Saturday.